Class 5 Cbse Science. Matter. Everything which we see around is called the matter. Matter is made up of atoms. And atoms are made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. There are three states of matter: are solid, liquid, and gas. The properties of solid, liquid, and gas. States of the same matter, but are different. The atoms in the solid are tightly packed in comparison to the structure of atom in liquid and gas. Matter. Matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. A small button takes up less space than an elephant, but they are both matter. Matter is made up of small particles called as atoms and molecules. The amount of space occupied by an object is called volume. Some objects have more volume than others. For example, a globe occupies more space than a ruler does. The globe has more volume than the ruler. Mass is the measure of how much material makes up the object. Everything that has volume and has mass is matter. Property of matter. Property is something about an object that can be observed, such as its size, shape, color, smell, or sound. All matter has property. There are three forms of the states of matter. Matter. Anything which occupies space and has mass is called matter. Amount of matter present in a body is called mass of the body. Mass of the body is constant and remains same even in the space. Volume is the amount of space which is occupied by the body or an object. Occupied space by an object is called a volume. The whole universe is made up of only two things: matter and energy. Some substance dissolve in water and some are not dissolved in water. For example, salt, sugar, etc. soluble in water, whereas sand chalk piece is insoluble in water. Solute, when resolves in a liquid, occupies the empty space present between the molecules. If all the empty space is occupied by solute and no more empty space is left between the solvent molecules, it is called saturated solution. That is, no more solute can be added to a given amount of solvent. If more solute is added, it settles at the bottom. More solute can be added by heating saturated solution. Solubility for solution is increased on increasing the temperature. Element is the pure substance, which is made up of same kind of atoms, example hydrogen and oxygen. Compound, it is found when two or more than two elements are combined chemically enough fixed ratio, example H2O and CO2, etc. Matter is made up of molecules. Different things look and feel different. This is because there are different kinds of molecules. Different materials are made up of different kinds of molecules. Paper molecules are different from rubber molecules. Special machines are there to measure and weigh very tiny things, like a grain of sand, or even invisible things, like a gas. Scientists can also measure a molecule. Matter is found in three forms: solid, liquid, gas. All solid, liquid, gas are made up of molecules. When matter changes form, the molecules move closer together or further apart. The space between them become more or less solid. The molecules in solids are packed very closely together. There is very tiny space between them. So, they cannot move around much. This helps solids keep a definite shape. Also, the space which a solid occupies does not change. Iron, wood, salt, and sugar are some solids. Liquid. The molecules in the liquid are not so closely packed. They have more space between them. This is why liquids flow and why liquids take the shape of the container they are in. So liquids can change their shape, but space they occupy remains the same. Oil, water, and petrol are some liquids.
Gas. In gas, molecules have lot of space between them. Gases can flow around more than liquid. Gases don't have definite shape. Since gases can spread easily, the shape they occupy also changes easily. Gases also have weight, but much less than liquids and solids. Carbon dioxide, oxygen, nitrogen are some gases. All about matter. Particles are different in different states of matter. The particles in liquids are much farther apart than particles in solids. Particles in solids pull towards each other. A solid can keep its shape because its particles stay close together. Particles in solids can move back and forth, but they can't change places with another particle. Particles in liquids are farther apart. The pull between particles in liquids is weaker than the pull in solids. Liquids can change shapes because the particles can move around each other and change places. Particles in gases do not pull together strongly. Gas particles can move around more than the particles in liquids and solids. A gas can move to fill any space because its particles move freely. Everything in the world has matter in one of these three forms. Matter can change in different ways. There are physical changes and chemical changes. Some matter can change states. That means some matter can change from a solid to a liquid or from a liquid to a gas. Matter changes state when more energy is added to it. Energy is often added in the form of heat or pressure. If you change something physically, it may look, act, or feel different, but it is still the same thing. The molecules haven't changed. For example, if you tear a piece of paper, it looks different, but it is still a piece of paper. That is a physical change. An ice cube, a solid, becomes a liquid when it melts. You can take the liquid and turn it back into a solid by freezing it. The change is reversible. It is a different state, but it is still water. This is called a physical change. The state has changed, but it is still the same thing, water. Changing physical states of matter is about changing densities, pressures, temperatures, and other physical properties. The basic chemical structure does not change when there is a physical change. Melting and freezing. When solid turns into liquid, it is called melting. There is a temperature at which this happens called the melting point. As the energy in the molecules increases from a rise in temperature, the molecules start moving faster. Soon they have enough energy to break free of their rigid structure and start moving around more easily. The matter becomes a liquid. The melting point for water is 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. When the opposite happens and a liquid turns into solid, it is called freezing. Boiling and condensation. When a liquid becomes a gas, it is called boiling and vaporization. Again, at a certain temperature called the boiling point, the molecules will gain enough energy to break free and become a gas. The boiling point for water is 100 degrees Celsius. When the opposite occurs and a gas become a liquid, it is called condensation. Evaporation. Evaporation is liquid becoming a gas that happens only on the surface of a liquid. Evaporation doesn't always need a high temperature to occur. Even though the overall energy and temperature of a liquid may be low, the molecules on the surface that are in contact with the air and gases around them can possess high energy. These molecules on the surface will slowly become gases through evaporation. You can see evaporation when water on your skin dries or a puddle in the street slowly goes away. Sublimation. Sublimation of an element or substance is a conversions between the solid and the gaseous states with no liquid intermediate stage. Carbon dioxide is a common example of a compound that sublimes at normal pressures. Scientists have always known about solids, liquids and gases. Plasma was a new idea when it was noticed that molecules that are really close to each other, even closer than atoms in a solid. Everything in the world is made up of matter. Matter has two important things to remember. 1. Matter has weight. Everything in the world has weight. 2. Matter takes up space. Everything in the world needs some space to fit in. Thank you. Please like and subscribe.